Hi, this is Lorena and I wanted to do a tutorial on how to make a heart pincushion. Lately when I've been having problems is when I'm on my sewing machine I lose my screwdriver. Sometimes when I have to deal with bobbin issues I also lose my little scissors. I just lose my stuff and it gets caught underneath the mess of the sewing project. And so what I decided to do is to try out and make a heart pincushion, and I made one. And here's my heart pincushion, and it hangs on the sewing machine. What I did is I made several of these, and I made one that fit perfectly, which is a lot smaller than this one, but I gave it away. Well, I gave it away, and so I decided to make this one. And what this has is it has a vinyl pocket, and in the vinyl pocket you could put a whole bunch of, just your tools inside of it. And it just hangs on your machine somewhere. So I wanted to do a tutorial for you guys on how to make this, and I'll see you in a minute, okay? So let me tell you some of the things you are going to need. You're going to need quilted fabric, and like this is something that I was quilting years ago and it's just been in a drawer tossed around, and I do recommend a fabric that has a top, the batting, and a back layer piece of quilted fabric that I have. Now let's say you don't have quilted fabric. What I have here is just fabric that has the batting, and I'm going to go ahead and get back fabric like here and just layer it. And so you're just gonna have, and you're gonna need two pretty large pieces like this. And I'm not gonna give you a heart template. What we're gonna do is just cut the fabric in half and then just cut a heart. I'm sure you guys know how to cut a heart, and if not, there's a whole bunch of clip out templates that you could print out for yourself, and then you can just cut it on paper and then draw it if you wanted to. So you're going to need one layer, and then you're going to need another layer, for one layer for the front, one layer for the back, and it's going to be determined by you on the size that you want. This one I did really big, and I think it's too big for my sewing machine, so I'm going to make another one a little bit smaller. So you are going to need some vinyl, and I got this vinyl at Walmart. You do keep this paper. You're going to need it when you're sewing. And I got a yard of vinyl. It cost me 98 cents. I do recommend that you get the heavier weight vinyl, because there are different weights of vinyl. You are going to need a zipper, and you are going to need some ribbon. It doesn't really matter what kind of ribbon you get. I just recommend that you get the kind of ribbon that has a flat edge to the top of it. Also going to need fabric for this space right here for the fabric inside. It doesn't matter. This is just a scrap of fabric that I used. And you are going to need some fabric for your handle. And so whatever fabric you want, this was scrap fabric that I turned into like a little handle. So here I just have myself some quilted fabric that, it messed up when I quilted, it shifted. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just fold it in half. So here I'm going to just draw and so there's my heart. There's my heart. And then I'm going to get my scissors, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of more space away from my drawing. Kind of giving myself a seam allowance. And there's my heart. So here you see this back fabric, and I'm going to go ahead and just fold it in half to where I have a half mark, and then use your chalk again to draw the line just like that. And of course, give yourself a little bit. You want the back to be, so here's your front, and you want the back to be just a little bit bigger because we are going to put the zipper Now it's just a little bit bigger. You see that? So I'm going to cut myself just like an inch strip. This is cut 1.5 inches, and I'm probably also going to just do 10 inches long. So let me share what I did with how I made my handle. I went ahead and I folded my fabric in half and I sewed 1/4 of a seam. And I got this called turnaround hook. And here you see me, I already fed it through, and at the very top where my nail is, it's hooked into the fabric. And then I'm tucking in my fabric in again, and I'm pulling my fabric out, and it's reversing itself. I found that this is one of the easiest ways to get my fabric reversed. And here you see me just finagling with the fabric a little bit. Just know that I just did one seam all the way down, and I didn't seam the top or the bottom. This really only takes a couple minutes to do, and I just didn't think it was worth me showing the sewing or any of that. And as you see, it has a hook on the top, and it has a little handle for your finger at the bottom. And it's a long piece of wire, and they have these at Joann and Hobby Lobby, and that's where I got mine. From wherever your center of your peak is, measure right there. And then I'm going to measure how wide it is. Mine is 8 1/4 wide. I'm going to go ahead and go 8 1/2. And it's also going to be from here to this center space, because you want it covered, it's 4 1/2. So I'm probably going to do 5. And I'm going to go to 8 1/2. And whatever your size is, it really doesn't matter. All you want to make sure is that your vinyl goes all the way across here, and then it covers your bottom piece. And then once you do that, you decide, you get your ribbon. And your ribbon is going to go ahead and you're going to measure your ribbon. And so I'm going to measure it, and then I'm going to cut, and I'm going to give myself some extra space. And I'm going to make sure that this ribbon goes all the way across to this edge and this edge. And then I'm going to cut my piece like that. And just make sure that it's perfectly set. And this is a time where you can pin your ribbon to the position that you want and just kind of tack it. Just like that. And what I'm going to sew is I'm going to sew on this piece of where there's a lot of room for the thread to get caught. I'm going to go ahead and move my pin and have my sewing machine and just start sewing. So what you've done is you've sewn the paper to your, and this paper that comes with your vinyl, it just literally tears off. It tears off really easily. And then here we have like some vinyl that is kind of out, and this is where you can trim. I don't know if you see it. This is a good time to make sure that you have vinyl going all the way across in this space and all the way across in this space. And make sure that you have it straight. Just like that. And then in this area, because the foot is not a plastic, it's not for plastic, you're going to go ahead and just start going all the way around. What I'm doing is I'm just literally tacking this vinyl down, because you can see it just tears off. And make sure this area is nice. So this is what it's going to look like. The paper just tears away really easy. There you go. And then we're going to go ahead and trim all this off. We're going to cut it in half, and that's why we wanted it a little bit bigger. There you go. Now you're going to need a piece of fabric, and so here's my half of my heart. You're going to need a piece of fabric that will be able to be the distance of this, and you're going to need to add, I believe you can add up to 2 inches. So we're going to go ahead, this fabric does go all the way up and down. And you're going to need 2 pieces. Here I have my bag fabric of my heart. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this one doesn't matter. I'm going to lay this facing down. You go up right there. And then you're going to lay this going down. And then you get your wonder clips and you bring all your 3 seams and make sure they're nice and straight. And you lay your seams together just like that. And just go ahead and start sewing. Just like that. And now you have the zipper attached with kind of like a little inner lining. We're going to rub it down away from the zipper. And then now we're going to go sew the seam right here. And of course you would get... So now that I have this done, I want to make sure that my my edge here lines up with the next edge, and that here this edge lines up with this edge. So I want to make sure that my fabric is kind of lining up the same, and I'm going to flip it over. And now that I have it flipped over, I'm going to go ahead and put this on top of this fabric. Just like that. And I'm going to make sure that this at least is extended to the end, that it will cover this. Right there. Put my clip in. And put this like that. That everything will sew nice and straight, and that everything is in line, just like this. And sew a straight seam. So now we're going to open it, the zipper's up, and then here's your opposite lining. We're going to pull it away from the heart, just like we did the other side, and we're going to go ahead and just stitch all the way down right here. And this is a good time just to make sure that your back fabric is pulled away from the zipper. Off all this back extra fabric. Just like that. Ahead and push my zipper down, and I'm going to trim this off. I already trimmed the bottom off. And it's good to get rid of that metal piece. That's why a bigger zipper is a lot better. Just like that. You're going to turn this in, and you have these 2 fabrics. You're going to make sure you get these 2 seams lined up together, just like that. This seam and this seam lined together. And then you want your zippers together, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to hold it together, and you're just going to pin. Don't poke yourself. You don't want this to move. You want this to stay in position. And then you're going to get these 2 flaps, and you're going to sew in a downward position like this. Like that. So, just like that. You're going to sew from the end of this zipper all the way down. And so really what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew, and I'm going to sew where I see this kind of seam, and I'm going to sew to, you know, that little heavy weight. So I'm going to sew right there. Once I know I'm on this zipper, I'm going to just go ahead and I don't know if, I know you can't see it, but there's like a bulk here. This is the zipper area, and this is that seam that we made to get the zipper apart. I'm going to open it, and this is what it's going to look like. You're just tacking this area together like that. So you're sewing just to the zipper. Now you're going to do the same thing here. You're going to push the zipper downwards, and you're going to get this, try to get these two seams together like you did on the top, and you're just going to sew all from here all the way to the edge of the zipper. And what you're doing right now is we're going to sew all this away around. You don't want this to get caught when you're sewing the top on top. I hope you can see what I did. So I sewed it there, and I just sewed it in a downward angle. And what I'm locking in the zipper, so it kind of does a little puddle like that. And here's your zipper. The handles go down this way. Where do you want your handle? You put a handle here, and then your other handle will go here. And then you're going to turn your heart over. Make sure your zipper is open. You're going to need it open. And then we're going to sew all the way around. And I recommend you follow your top fabric. And I'm going to just go ahead and get the groove on. I recommend you go in, some people say go in a 1/2 inch. You could go in a 1/2 inch, whatever you want. It's whatever you're comfortable. I like going in a 1/4, and then right here where the handle is, go back and forth a couple times, because that handle is going to get some wear. Go all the way around. And the neat thing about your white fabric is go a little bit in on the seam that you made earlier. Just like that. It's kind of messy. So here you see everything trimmed. And now it's going to be a lot easier to reverse. This is also a good time to make sure your seams are really nice and clean. You could push them out. Just like that. So there's your heart. Now we're going to stuff the heart. And then here you see the heart, and remember that lining piece that we were moving out of the way? Now you could get all this stuff that you're going to throw away in the trash, and you can start stuffing. My heart looks kind of weird. The heart with it. You need a lot of this. You could use batting, your scrap fabrics. Here I ran out of stuffing. And in this area, you could literally just push the stuffing up towards the heart area, because remember, this area right here, it's going to be your pin, where you put your pins. So you want the fullness of this heart.
So here you see me getting a needle and thread, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start stitching the inside of that lining. What I did is I finger pressed the edge of the seam on both sides of the lining, and then I connected it with my fingers, and then I just started looping and stitching that lining shut. Just know that this doesn't have to be perfect, because no one's really going to see this, And what I did is I went all the way down one time and then I came all the way up. And the reason I came all the way up is to make sure that everything was nice and secure. And I noticed when everything was already put together, um, it was easier to get a better stitch quality, I guess. Now just know that after you get to the very top that you do a couple knots. I did like 3 or 4 to make sure that everything was knotted and nice and secure. And the reason you want to do this is you don't want any of that batting or any of that stuffing that you have in there to come out because then it'll get caught with the zipper. Now this becomes a really cool little pocket that you can have and no one would know. The neat thing is you could put needles in there, maybe some money. You can't put much in there because it's really stuffed. Your heart should be really full. And this is what the heart looks like completely done. Now this is the heart on my sewing machine with its tools where I have the needles. And this is just a visual without anything. It becomes a pocket. It could be a decorative element, and this is the back. I really do hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And I thank you for watching, and I really appreciate your subscription. See you next time.
Hi, this is Lorena, and I wanted to do a tutorial, but la la.